Hey everybody, it's your pal Drew Dracy, and I'm here to cover lots of Ditko Obscuro that I think you'll really enjoy. You may know of all these, you may not, chances are. But before that, today's sponsor is The Demands. It's a series, a 3 book novel series by me. It's a prose novel about a fictional band of the same name, The Demands. They play lots of clubs and bars in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They're an indie, hard rock, and kick you in the balls kind of band. And a lot of the places they play are owned by the Russian mob. These little clubs and such. Lainey Kilburn, our main protagonist, is an ingenue of 22 who dates the son of the head Russian mobster in Pittsburgh. And violence, sex, drugs, rock and roll ensues. Lots of curse words, lots of dark, dark humor. And I think you dig it. It's got a lot of great reviews on Amazon. It's paperback, Kindle, or it is free with Kindle Unlimited. Okay, on to the show. All right, now, Ditko, baby. Okay. And I've said before, as a kid, I hated Ditko's 70s stuff, like I did Kirby, but that was narrow-minded me. Okay, I'm gonna start with okay, over here. Here's one I don't think has ever been reprinted. That's a Mike Nasser cover, by the way. He was one of the many Neil Adams studio mates who learned from Neil, and he became Mike Netzer, and I think he went to Israel for a while and came back. So, more than you need to know, okay? It's a backup feature featuring Nighthawk in his new improved suit, which I never liked. It looks too gawky or something. It's Don Perlin or Ed Hedigan or somebody redesigned it because before he didn't have the claws, he didn't have the guns and all that. But I guess they were trying to tap into that Wolverine market because that was the thing. Just like with the Owl, Daredevil's arch foe, he got claws as well. So Mike W. Barr is writing it, and he exceptional writer, did a lot of books I'm not going to get into because then I start digressing again and again. Well, he's flying around whining. I don't think Ditko would approve of that part, just because Ditko, his characters were not prone to whining. They were prone to maybe sulking, but not out and out whining. Who knows? So he's like, the other defenders, they all got what it takes, the guts, the spirit. Me, I'm just Cal Richmond, a playboy with a gimmick, best gimmicks buddies could buy. Why can't I decide? Why, what? Wait a second. How's that go? What's that sound effect I like so much? Um, okay, there we go. Beautiful, beautiful art. And it turns out his stupid temper tantrum took down this seemingly abandoned building, and he holds it up. And this woman who has no use for her legs don't work, and she's trying, and he's inspired by her struggle, even though she's very weakened. And his strength doubles at night somehow, arbitrarily, and it was a serum that he took way back when that sort of stuff gave you like odd time signatures for your powers to work. So he's like, "You've got to move. You never give it up on anything in your life." Blah 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 blah. And so she moves. Capitanimatic. Hostess fruit pies. She gets free. He lets down the rubble, and she says, "You saved my life. Think nothing of it, honey. In a way, you saved mine." Da, da, da. Okay, nice art. The story's okay. It's there. I'm not going to do these in chronological order, but I do want to show this. Now, the cover's loose on this, okay, but I have like 3 copies of it. This came out in 96 and 97, and I don't know why, other than to maybe give some of the Silver Age Marvel creators some work. And I know that sounds really, really rude, but by then it was like the days of Rob Liefeld and Image and blah 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 blah, and these guys got put out the pasture. But you'll see like Gil Kane there. There's a Ditko FF. There's another Gil Kane X-Men, Ramita, I think. Anyway, Heroes and Villains, 1996. Okay, I'm just going to take this cover off because there's no sense in me clutching hungrily to it. It's a retelling of Fantastic Four annual number 3. Starts off. I'll just tease you with the other guys and gals who are working on this book. Okay. You got some Ron friends doing some filling of the pages. John Buscema, the unicorn. I love him. That costume's so disturbed. It's so dumb, but I loved it. Then the G'day gotta go. So got John Romita. Now we go into Ditko before the wedding. Okay. And what's funny is Ditko could never really draw the Thing well, and similarly, what was it? Jack Kirby can't draw Spider-Man well at all, even though there was all this rumor that Spidey was first created by Ditko and did 7 pages that weren't approved. That's just legend. That's just something that sounds cool, but no. There are no 7 pages of Spider-Man by Kirby. He tried to regurgitate a character called Night Flyer that was just your typical utility belt, gun-carrying superhero spy. Well, some of the roughness of the Thing by Ditko is covered by the coloring, and it is very tasteful. So then we go to Gene Colan. So good stuff. Buy it. Now the next year, I was really excited about this, and I don't think it got any like fanfare or I don't think it really got much attention, but it's got pencils by Sal Buscema, Dick Ayers, Ditko, Gil Kane, inks by a whole lot of people. So yeah, it's Sal doing his magic. Whoa. Okay, I'm jumping ahead. I want to get to the Ditko, Ditkocracy. Okay, there's Dick Ayers going into Ditko, inked by Steve Lee Aloha. Oh my god, it's so great. Steve is such a fantastic finisher. I really love this pair. I really do. I would love to see like a mini series, but can't be done now after Ditko had passed on. Well, this also fills in gaps, just like the previous year. This fills in the gaps around when the Avengers are splitting, the original members leaving, Hawkeye, Quicksilver, etc. They join, and they see Jarvis tied up. Yeah, man. Doing that a little bit. I'm sure Jarvis appreciated that. And then we go back to Dick Ayers. But I love that sequence is great. It's the same as what was in Avengers 16, but expands a little bit on it, a little bit more on it. Okay, now this is one. You could get this dirt cheap anywhere. I mean, I got this from like a $5 bin at a show or a convention or something. But it was just, they dumped stories that didn't have a home. They gave them individual issues. They just published them that way. Tales from the Marvel Vault, they called it. It didn't really take off much because this is 96 again. Like I said, everybody had the 1990s art style obsession, I guess, and but only later have artists, even young ones, have appreciated those who had come way before them. So you got a nice team here, Ditko. I'm going to go right to Ditko because that's what this episode's about. Now, plot is by Jack C. Harris, breakdowns by Steve Ditko, script and finishes Carl Kiesel, a artist / inker / writer I greatly admire. I really love his stuff. He's never disappointed, and I am sickened with jealousy over this project. I would have loved to ink this stuff. I've always wanted to ink Ditko, but never had the chance. When I was a cross-gen, I almost had a chance, but when we contacted him, but just didn't help. Just didn't happen. So the torch throws this like flaming lasso around a couple of crooks. I love that. I've never seen that sort of thing where he's kind of creating it with, I would say, molding the flame into a loop. And that's sort of a throwback to the old Strange Tales days, where he would do that sort of stuff. Charges in. Mr. Fantastic's a bit of a dick. He's like, hey, I'm working on this stuff. You just violated. It's caused the solution to violently change. Studying reaction to ambient temperatures. Blah, 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 blah. He pours it out. Tells Johnny, hey, you're not stupid. You're a mechanic. Look, you're always playing with a fantastic car and sports cars. You got common sense. Just make use of it. Then in Southern Virginia, there is our subplot here. Husband and wife team. He wants to start this machine, this magnetic energy machine that's supposed to help with the environment or the energy independence. And she's like, well, gotta check the calculations. And he's like being a real dick, but it turns out he's teamed up with the wizard. I love this coloring. It's not overbearing. It's the guy in the bottom, or the bottom right, the molding on the face is just perfect. And it may just be, I don't think it's computer coloring quite yet, because this that didn't really take hold until the 2000s, until like early 2000. So meanwhile, Bruce Banner's in a diner reading Science Society. Didn't even buy a cup of fucking coffee. So he's like, hey, this ain't a library. The old phrase used in comic, drugstores and other stores alike that had comics where kids would sit around and read them. So he gets pissed off. Smells like soup. Eats, takes off, naps, wake up. Carl's finishes are just so beautiful on this. So beautiful. Because at this point, Ditko's, the stuff he didn't ink himself was kind of bare bones. He did a lot of art in the ink stage, so there's a lot going on here. I was actually going to go over the whole story with you, but it's, it's okay. It's just that it's not as important as the art. Super breath, I always had a hang up about, because I don't know if you could inhale enough to cause wind. I'm jumping ahead for a second here. Where is that? Oh. Now, when he claps, I get that, because that's like a concussive wave of sorts. I accept that, but except if you're doing, early Superman stuff with the super breath. I mean, he seemed to be the only one who could really. It was just because it was part of his charm. Torch comes along, beautiful. I mean, it's just heavenly. How about that? Ooh wee. And I like the treatment of the torch. Again, the coloring is nice. It's very different. This was a period where, for decades and decades, the torch was drawn with these lines to indicate the fire and the little tiny little flame shapes. And this became more like a color hold. And I like it. It works. So what happened? He taunts Banner into becoming the Hulk. He tricks him using his noggin, just like Reed told him to before. He does the fake torches, which is always cool. He should do that more often. And, and that's it. So, good stuff. I'm telling you. Dirt cheap now. Okay, most of you guys who are hardcore Moon Knight fans are well aware of this. His first solo outing, Moon Knight anywhere. I mean, he did 2 issues of Marvel Spotlight that there was no real follow-up to it. So then later on they put him in the backup of Marvel's Color Hulk magazine for about 6 months or so, maybe a little more. And then Bill Sienkiewicz came along and really, really caught hold of the character and the reader's interest in the character. And so, based on that, they did a black and white magazine. And I've spoken before how much I would have loved to work on the black and white magazines in the 70s, because it's just, yeah, you do watercolor, you do zip, you do any damn thing you want. Now, okay, I'm digging that. Now, okay, this is the book that made me a Ditko fan, rather than being a geek who complained that Ditko wasn't like Neil Adams or, John Buscema or George Perez or John Byrne. For some reason, out of the blue or out of the black comes Shroud, Master of Darkness. He only appeared in supervillain team up prior to this, and possibly, no, that's about it. And this is pencil and inked by him. And as I had mentioned in the Ditko episode, Shades of Grey, Ditko really, really makes the story work. It just pops. It's just great. Mark Grunwald, legendary writer who's passed on, and Stephen Grant, excellent writer, and Steve Ditko did all the art. Now, when Steve Englehart conceived of the Shroud was a knockoff on Batman, like completely a knockoff, with the exception of that this version of Batman went to the Alps and followed some fancy teachings, and he got branded in the face and became blind and somehow got along with his other senses. So it's sort of a Daredevil / Doctor Strange / Batman. And now here we are. The Ditko, typical genius of making costumes that were just out there and nobody else thought about. And Ditko is very big about making a character identifiable almost instantly. So these two pickpockets, cat and mouse, are working for this gangster with the wild suits. I am the Shroud. That is the first time I really thought Shroud was cool, because when he first showed up at Supervillain Team Up, he was trying to kill Doctor Doom, and he sort of tried. He almost did it, but he failed. And I just thought, well, he didn't have what it takes, So this is a new power that was completely, I knew nothing about. It's similar to Cloak from Cloak and Dagger, which may or may not have come out at the same time, but Cloak has when he brings on the darkness, it's another dimension, and it makes people cold and freeze, and they're just, like you could send an army into Cloak's cloak. And here, Shroud is the master of darkness. He could black out a room. Him and Daredevil would get along great, because that was always a cool gimmick, that Daredevil would take out the lights, and because he was already blind, he was in his element. So it fades out. Okay. What happened? It fades. Now, Crooked Man, do we talk? How fucking badass is that? I never thought of the word badass and Steve Ditko in the same sentence back then. So this guy, I grew to respect him through this, because I never see anybody tell a story quite that way. And there's a story where he gets the brand, He's like, take your mask off, and he kind of uses his powers to block it. Yeah. Oh, shades of Blue Beetle and or The Question. There's a guy goofing on modern art. It's almost exactly like, I think it was the Blue Beetle, where he fought that one guy who said art is no good or whatever. This work represents the fragility of man crushed by an unthinking nature and unbending society. It's truly thrilling. Blah, 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 blah. And he goes, rubbish. Every bit of it. No taste, no style. Is anything accepted as art in this age? And I have to say, there's a bit of truth in that, because, there's a lot of bullshitters who are more about theatrical presentations of their art than the actual quality of their art in the fine art world, that is. It's just a big bunch of people jerking around each other, talking about how intellectual they are and how they how they see things in paintings that may not be there, or how they interpret. I like the drop-offs. I like, the nice vest. I know art is subjective, but you know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of posers out there who think they know what this long dead artist intended, even though it was never documented anywhere. Sneaks up on this guy, and cat and mouse steal this briefcase, working with the Shroud, because the Shroud is working with the big bad guy, only for the sake of infiltrating. So meanwhile, in Central Park, he reveals one of the bad guys. It's knocked out. That is just amazing. I recently did a commission piece of the Shroud fighting Stingray, of all characters, and this really made me think. I didn't go quite Ditko enough on my image, but I just got stoked for it. I mean, if this probably didn't happen, I probably would have been bored with him, because he just would have been a costume. Exceptional. And that's the end, I think. They become... Oh, no. My apologies. More drop-offs, more intense shading, thin lines for the sky. And this guy's... Ha! 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 I'll kill you. I'm the crooked man. Stay away from me, Shroud. Stay away. Fuck. He's knocked out. But I mean, that's just... There's that old Ditko drama that he did. I mean, there's no sweat on the brows that he was prone to do, but that's okay. Don't matter. The rendering on the face, the suit here, everything is exceptional. He's just... The lines here are just a tiny bit closer, and that's harder to pull off than you think. So, Cat, Mouse, and Shroud, they decide they're going to be a crime syndicate of their own, but actually just using that as a front to take on crime. And he goes, here's to crime. And so begins a Shroud secret war against the underworld, a battle waged from within. And there you go, baby. Beautiful stuff. Anyway, I hope